My video for April the 7th, 2019 is video number 3048. The title is A 19th Century Cataclysm, True or False? I have no doubt that the world we live in now is very different than what it was in our past. As I watched another video that indicated there are no trees on Earth as the trees were at one time, I was interested, except for two things. The speaker said that the cataclysm that virtually destroyed much of the world occurred in the early 19th century. Then at the end made a reference to the Earth being flat. Oh no, not again. What is it with this new religion of flat Earth? Since I've talked about this in other videos, I will not rehash it again at this time. What I do want to focus on is the timing of this cataclysm. If it was said to be eons ago, I could easily accept that, since there does seem to be physical evidence that is undeniable. There were huge trees that were silica, not carbon-based. That is a colossal revelation. But when? Our forefathers here in the United States were short of stature compared to current standards. They were not giants. Yes, of course, there are exceptions. I'm talking about averages, not the rare cases of giants. If the skeletal remains are as significant as I think they are, people at that time would dwarf even the tallest basketball players today. That said, there does seem to be evidence of some sort of cataclysmic mud flood that did occur in the early part of the 19th century. More things to question. Yes, I took a couple of hours and actually looked at all the video pictures, the pictures that were displayed as part of that discussion. And then I watched the video at the end. First I was just going through the reading part of it, and I have my Avona reader read it to me. But I am looking at the pictures, because the pictures are an important part of the presentation. So it's not something that you can just listen to the words like I do so often. In any case, as I said in the blurb, I have no question believing that there was some kind of a mud flood that occurred probably in the 19th century, because some of the buildings, for example, in New York City, the first floor is submerged, which would indicate that the ground level around there changed. They built the roads on top of where the mud was when the mud dried out, of course. And so there's some tangible evidence that there is a likelihood that there was some kind of cataclysm that happened again in the 19th century. But the cataclysm where Earth was destroyed and where there were giants before, and including huge trees that completely dwarf what we call trees now. I mean, there's no comparison. The trees that we have now would be like ants compared to a bear. I just threw those examples in, but you make the comparisons yourself. I mean, there's just a tremendous difference. Now, of course, the Coral Castle in Florida, that was constructed by a little man who was able to levitate things. So that's another factor that has to be considered. We don't have the ability, or we think we don't have the ability, to levitate things. But again, is that something that has been taken away by compromising our DNA and turning off codons? I don't know. There are, as I said, lots of things to question. There were silica-based trees. There is evidence of that. It's incontrovertible to me. You can't argue it. There it is. If you look at it, there it is. There were trees that were very, very large and silica-based. We see the flat top mountains, we call them, but they're not mountains. They're if you look at them close, they have all the earmarks of a tree, and yet they're silica. And there's oftentimes minerals that are in the silica, some of them precious minerals and gems and things like that. We have been lied to, no question about it. Our history has been hidden from us. How long ago that occurred, I don't know. To me, eons ago. Eons ago. This deceptive game has been being played on humanity for not just centuries, certainly not decades, but multiple millennia. We're talking about a different age entirely. I don't even think the Piscean age is far enough back. And that's the one that we're coming out of, supposedly, and moving into the Aquarian age. I don't think that's what we're talking about. We're talking about ages maybe where there were previous Aquarian ages even, because that recycles every 2,000 to 2,500 years. The age changes and it recycles, and there's 12 ages, and they keep repeating over and over again, each one being a very long time. You know, as I said, 2 or 2,500 years. There are so many things that make me scratch my head and make me wonder, what is the truth? What is the truth? You know, are we going to throw everything we've been taught and say there's no truth in it at all? No, I don't believe that. There has to be a thread of truth that runs through all the mysteries, if you will. All the ages must have some truth that has connected everything, the past, the present, and the future, and all of the various changes, earth changes, that seem to have taken place. The water level of the earth has fluctuated up and down. There are cities underwater that are underwater now. But obviously, people didn't live underwater, unless they were dolphins or something. So we are left wondering, what of what we've been told, how much of what we have been told is true, and how much of it is fairy tales, carefully woven lies that have been put into the narrative to what? Control us? Deceive us? Yeah, I think we've all been deceived. I think we've all been lied to. None of us know our true history. None of us know where we came from, and we're not even sure where we're going, although we have beliefs. I do too, as I've talked about in so many videos. I want there to be a revelation that sets things straight, that tells the whole truth and nothing but the truth. The question is, can we handle that? I hope we can. I'd like to see positive changes for humanity. I've lived my whole life with that expectation and goal. Thank you for listening, and namaste.